Hi. Torun, the city in the north of Poland, on the Vistula River. Nicolaus Copernicus's homeland, a historical part of the city, consists in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List. In 2007 the population of the city made 206,765 inhabitants. The former capital of the Torun Voivodeship. 1975-1998. And the Pomer Voivodeship. 1921-1939. Torun since 1999 became one of the capitals of the Kujawsko-Pomorskie Voivodeship. In September 2004 the Medical Academy in Bydgoszcz united with Nicolaus Copernicus's University in Torun in Medical College of the University of Nicolaus Copernicus. Pioneer settlements in vicinities are dated by archaeologists 1100 BC. At the time of the Middle Ages there was a small settlement protecting the river. The 13th century. But it was probably already broken in 1230. When the Teutonic Order arrived in Kalmarland, the Helminski Earth, they constructed fortress 1230-1231 here. Fortress was called in memory of the fortress Torun belonging to the Teutonic Order in Palestine. In ancient documents it is written down as Torun. The settlement surrounding the loch acquired the rights of the city in 1233. The city soon became the German medieval shopping center. In 1263 Franciscan monks lodged in Torun, and behind them, in 1269 Dominicans. In 1264 the next Neustadt, the new city, was founded. It was separated up to 1454, then the old and new cities were united in one city. In the 14th century the city joined the Hanseatic Trade Union. In 1411 the first Torun World was signed. In 1454, in exchange for support and recognition of privileges of the city, Torun took sovereignty of the Polish crown. 13 Years' War ended in 1466 with the Second Torun World, in which the Teutonic Order transferred sovereignty of the Western Prussia to the Kingdom Polish. The city occupied by Poles and Germans during the Protestant Reformation accepted Protestantism. Generally German population. In 1557, whereas the most part of the population of the country remained Catholics. During service of the Mayor Heinrich Strabant, 1586-1609, Torun began to submit to the centralized power which was in hands of city council. In the middle of the 17th century the Polish Catholics made 60% of the population of the city, and the German Protestants -40%. The city strongly developed in the Polish period and grew from the point of view of the population. At the end of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, about 1790, the Polish Catholics made 70% of the population of Toruni, and the German Protestants -30%. In 1645 in Torun colloquium charitativum, on which Lutheran priests protested against attempt of recatholicization in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth took place. This document signed in number the court priest of the Kurland Duke Jakoba Paul Eingern designated. In 1677 it was offered to Prussian historian Christoph Gartknob to become the director of a gymnasium of Torun. He held this position to the death in 1687. Gartknob wrote many books and works on the history of Prussia. In 1793, after the second section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the city was given to the Prussian kingdom. In 1807 the city became a part of the Duchy of Warsaw, created by Napoleon. In 1813 there were events which on pages of the Encyclopedic Dictionary of Brockhaus and Ephron were given the following description. In February 1813, T. occupied with garrison from the French and Bavarian troops was imposed with the 10,000 Russian case. Longbrunn. The fortress, arranged by old rules of engineering art, had neither no casemated rooms for garrison, nor stocks. Besides, to the middle of March, owing to infectious diseases, the Cisleitonost of defenders decreased up to 2,000 people on March 28. On arrival from Grodance of heavy tools, the Russian troops started obsidianal works, under control of the Gen. Opperman, and with 31 firing began with already batteries. Besieged held until April 4 and even undertook sorties. At last the governor T. Torun de Molieu was forced to refuse further resistance and on April 6 signed the convention under which the rest of garrison, 1,200 people, was given the prisoner of war and the city is transferred to Prussians. After Napoleon's defeat, the Vienna Congress in September 1815 confirmed Prussian sovereignty over the city. In 1870 the French prisoners of war captured during French-Prussian War constructed a chain of forts around the city. Next year the city, together with other Prussia, became a part of the new German Empire. In 1919, after World War I, following the results of the Treaty of Versailles, Torun as the capital of the Pomer voivodeship became a part of Poland. Generally, the historical period between two wars became time of considerable development of production in Torun. Large investments were enclosed in such areas as transport, new streets, tram lines and bridges, housing construction. Even in 1915 Poles made 40% of inhabitants of Toruni because of decline in the period of dissection and Massachusetts migration of Germans in the 19th century, but after the city returned to Poland 1919, approximately in 1925, Germans made only 4% of inhabitants of Toruni, and Poles minus 95%. Torun was annexed to Nazi Germany right after invasion of Nazis into Poland in 1939. During World War II the chain of forts was used by Germans as the prisoner of war camps known under the general name Stalagowacy. Torun was freed by the Soviet army from Nazis in 1945. The city avoided considerable destructions during war. After war, Germans of Torun were moved to West Germany from 1945 to 1947. After World War II the population increased more than twice. At the same time, one of the most important events during the post-war period is creation of the University of Nicolaus Copernicus in 1945. Over time it became one of the best universities in Poland. Sites and monuments. Old Torun was included in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List in 1997. In the city there are a lot of monuments of the Middle Ages and 20th century. 200 objects. The city is known that it kept almost in inviolability the medieval planning and many Gothic buildings, all from which monumental churches, a town hall and petty bourgeois houses were constructed of a brick, including the fact that Torun, unlike many other historic towns in Poland, avoided considerable destructions during World War II is important. In particular, the old city remained intact, so all monuments of architecture original, but aren't restored after destruction. One of the most known sites of the city is the so-called Curved Tower of the 13th century. With a height of 15 meters, she is a deviation from a vertical in 1.46 m. Thus, her degree of an inclination is higher than at the Tower of Pisa. Illumination of the old city is interesting to tourists at night. Numerous buildings and other constructions, including city walls along the avenue, are highlighted at night, creating impressive effect. The main edible attraction of the city, the Torun gingerbreads, happen various size. On a flat surface of big Torun gingerbread, symbols of the city and a scene from medieval nightly life are often represented. Transport. The transport network in the city is a subject of active criticism for already many years. Though the city isn't among the large cities, in it the road and transport network is poorly developed. Construction of the new highway, reconstruction of the existing streets, and construction of others from scratch didn't help. Torun still remains the place, awful for the driver. The system of public transport of Torun consists of over 30 bus routes and several tram lines covering the city and some of the next communities. Within Torun since December 2013 there are 2 automobile bridges, 3 main railway stations and 4 railway lines connect Torun, Bydgoszcz and villages in the region and also to the remote large cities. 2 bus depots also work in the city. The big airports nearest to Torun are located in Bydgoszcz, Gdańsk and Warsaw. Culture and science. In Torun 2 drama theaters, 2 children's theaters, 2 musical theaters and other theater companies work. Annually in May in Torun the International Contact Theater Festival is held. About 10 historical museums work in the city. In particular, Copernicus's House, Nicolaus Copernicus's House Museum. In the city Centrum Czci Weselezny opened recently. In Torun there are a planetarium and the astronomical observatory, which is in the neighboring settlement of Piwice. The last possesses the radio telescope, largest in east part of Central Europe. Torun Scientific Organization. Towarzystwo Naukowe Toruniu. Founded in 1875 and actively acting now, is one of the oldest in Poland. Education. More than 30 schools, over 10 higher education institutions, set of private schools make educational base of Torun. The largest higher education institution in Torun is the University of Nicolaus Copernicus, at which over 40,000 students study. Professional sport. Angels Torun. The American soccer. Unibax Torun A Speedway. The Polish Extra League. Toruński Klub Piłkarski Soccer. Torun Hockey. The Polish Premier League. Verein Torun Field Hockey. The Polish Premier League. Energia Torun Basketball. The Polish Women's Premier League. Nestle Pacific Cycling. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.